Good afternoon once again. Good afternoon once again. As I notified you earlier, we were going to have our live discussion. We're going to talk about a topic today, which is quite interesting, which is feeding Heifers to maximize or improve fertility and production. Um, my name is Dr. Kibet Chirchir of Vital Animal Health. I think you are getting used to the fact that every Friday at about 3, we all meet up here so that we can have uh, trainings during these tough times. And based on the topic, I don't know what comes to your mind, but it's key for me to maybe define the period at which we are looking at the animal we call a heifer. And I think if you have your female calf right after weaning, uh, you want to ensure that you are going to feed that animal because that is potentially your heifer, it's potentially your cow. And so much of what you do with that animal when it's quite young is actually going to really determine how much milk or how many calves you're going to receive in future from your heifer. So what we are saying in short is the young calf today which you've just weaned is your cow tomorrow, and actually we are talking about targeting to ensure that by the time you are about 16 on the latest 18 months old, your animal should actually be uh, getting ready for insemination so that we have it milking from around 26 months to about 28 months. And very key to me today is to look at this stage of cows. And I think what is more important for me to notify you is most of the time farmers do take care of their milking cow. They do take care of their calf, but occasionally once they wean their calf, the attention to that heifer is actually will actually go down. And I think my discussion today is actually going to be looking at how are you going to maximize the profits which you are going to obtain by taking care of your heifer very well. So right after winning, I know, and I think we will be having that discussion much later. It's important for you as a farmer to be able to feed your uh, calf quite well, and you continue feeding all the way until it gives birth. And I think I'll be looking at your heifer from several stages. One is as soon after winning, I want you to continue feeding your heifer with a good source of energy. I want you to ensure that you are able to give good quality forage to that heifer, because here we are having a limited sized rumen and we want it to grow to be as big as possible. So we want you to be able to feed that heifer. And I think the best way to look at feeding is just like a milking cow, you still require all the components of a diet. That means that the energy components of your diet should actually be adequate. The protein should be sufficient. You should also be able to give mineral supplementation to your heifer, and of course provide quality clean water which you can be able to drink yourself. So having looked at that, the best way to see whether your heifer is growing very well is by monitoring uh, the growth rate, and that you do by weighing. And in I think the recommendation we always give as Vital Animal Health is weighing your calf every 2 weeks and calculating what we call daily weight gain, and your target should actually be getting to an average of about 800 grams per day. So if you are doing about 500, you're okay, but when you are doing up to 800 grams, then you are actually doing very well. So at that time, you want to look at your heifer and monitoring its daily weight gain, and also looking at the height, because we want to feed this heifer very well so that we can be able to achieve about 60% or 55 to 60% of um, as a percentage of the mature breed weight of that Heifer. So if you're having Friesian Holsteins, for example, we know their weights run to 650 to about 700 sometimes, and when that's the case, it means that you will be calculating 55% of that, so that becomes your key performance indicator. And I think the most important reason why we want to feed the Heifers and have them growing as fast as we are talking about is because there is a very high correlation between uh, the, the, the rate at which your calf or Heifer is growing and the milk production in future. And this is because the cells which are producing milk in the udder uh, actually multiply as fast as the Heifer is growing. So if there is anything which is going to slow down your Heifer from growing, then straight away that is going to affect your milk productivity in future. So a number of farmers are usually asking lots of questions and wondering, how do I make my udder to be big and produce more milk? And I want to tell you, if you want to really boost your udder, as people put, and I'm talking about boost here from the dimension of uh, putting some quotes, I would say, and because there is no other way of you getting as a udder which is quite productive. It is by feeding well, and I expect that an Heifer which is growing at about 800 grams per day should be able to produce much more milk than one which is growing at 200 grams per day, because as I said, the cells which are going to produce milk in future are actually determined by how fast that Heifer is growing. So thinking about that, then there is a very high relationship between milk production and the size of your Heifer. So what you want to work hard on is provide a balanced diet or a balanced ration to your Heifers, so that by the time we are approaching 15 or 16 months, it should be about, if it's a Friesian Holstein, as I said, 55 to 60% of that Heifer should be anything between maybe 330 kilos to about 380 kgs. And you're going to serve that Heifer based on weight, not based on age. Because if you serve undersized Heifers, however old they have become, uh, it will mean that the udder development is actually compromised because it was growing slowly, and I don't expect that Heifer to actually produce a lot of milk. So that is so much about how you are going to feed your Heifer so that you can produce uh, as much milk as possible. Actually, so that you can approach the genetic potential. Many farmers I know are using good quality genetics. They are engaging very qualified inseminators. They end up getting very good calves which are being born. But because they are not doing anything about feeding these heifers so that they can enable those cells which produce milk in future to multiply in number, then they end up having heifers which are not, or cows which will not produce even the amount of milk which their mothers were producing, yet you are doing some genetic progression. The second part of my discussion is actually about improving the fertility. And I think what I'm going to be emphasizing on here is we are looking at optimum growth rates, we are looking at optimum uh, sizes of your heifers. And if you are going to be feeding them as fast, as required, providing good quality fodder, as I said, providing good quality source concentrates, and balancing, ensuring that you give more forage so that it's able to have a rumen which is full, and as well as having a rumen which is having sufficient fiber, then you're not going to develop issues like acidosis. And for fertility, of course, we know that if you are feeding quite well, heifers are able to reach their their puberty before 9 months, and you should be able to start seeing them coming on it actually. And because if you have adequate energy, if your rations are well balanced and the heifer is growing well, then you expect to see them coming on it. But as I have said, we want to serve them when they are more mature, when they are 15 to 16 months. But very key for us here is ensuring that uh, they are not they are not small in size. So you're going to be breeding them according to their weights. And if you are not feeding well, then don't expect those Heifers to come on it, because cycling every month by cows is actually a factor of the energy status of the body. So if the animal is having a very good body condition score, then I expect that Heifer to come on it regularly. But all we are saying is there is a specific weight which we want to serve them, and there is a specific age at which we are looking forward to achieve that weight. So if you are feeding those Heifers very well and they are growing, it's also very important for you to note that we are having a Heifer here which is growing very fast, and uh, so feeding post service is actually very key, because we are having a Heifer which is developing. We are also having a conception which you are very key to ensure that it's going to be sustained. So I would love to give those Heifers some good fodder, some good concentrates, some good minerals, so that the Heifer can grow well, and also the fetus can be able to grow well. All you need to be careful at this period is uh, to see that they are not going to get thin, and they are not also going to get fat, because if you are going to overfeed them, of course you are going to see maybe the body condition score going beyond 3.5. So if you are going to have fat Heifers, then there are challenges which come with that. One is that by the time they are going to be calving down, there is a high possibility that you will struggle uh, when they are giving birth, because too much fat is actually going to limit the birth canal, and those Heifers are going to have a lot of dystocia or difficulty in calving. The other issue is, of course, when you feed in too much concentrates at this period and the animal is putting on too much weight, one thing which we would want to avoid is also too much fat filling up in the udder, and that is also going to avoid, it's going to limit those cells, the space which they are going to have in producing milk. So thinking about Heifers, we know that they are not as big as the other cows. So of course, as you are breeding them as well, it is very important for you to pay attention to the semen which you are going to be using, so that you pick up bulls which have very good calving yeast. Because if your Heifers are going to develop some difficulties in calving when they approach to give birth, or when they are giving birth they are going to have problems, then we expect those Heifers to really have a lot of issues after calving. Because if you're going to have a damaged birth canal, if you're going to have Heifers which are too fat, then of course we know that there are many issues which are going to develop with that. So many questions do come to us as Vital Animal Health, and many people know that we recommend Vital Joto for Heifers from when they are 12 months old until the time when they are 7 months pregnant, 2 months to calving, that is to say. And a lot of people are actually looking at the use of the mineral supplement to make the animals come on it. And I think what is very critical for me to clarify is a ration has to be complete. There has to be all the components. Of course, if the energy is sufficient, you are going to see your Heifers maintaining a very good, healthy body weight. And they are not going to be fat, they are not going to be thin, and they are definitely going to come on it. So if something is going to be missing in your diet, then I don't expect that a mineral will be at a position to fix that. So you need to ensure that you're providing a balanced ration to your Heifers, and you are ensuring that you are giving Vital Joto, of course, as their mineral, and you also want to ensure that you are giving good water. And I think the best way for you to note if your ration is working is keep on monitoring the daily weight gain. If 2 weeks later you're weighing your Heifer and you are seeing that when you calculate the rate of gain the rate of body weight gain per day is coming down, then there must be something very wrong about your ration. So what we are saying literally is good feeding, good management, it will result to Heifers which have a better fertility and Heifers which are going to produce much more milk. Of course, we know that when 2 months are remaining towards calving, we want you to ensure that you are feeding more roughage to your Heifers, because the uterus is actually enlarging in size, and if the rumen is empty, then you expect that the rumen is going to be squeezed, and the amount of food which that heifer is going to be taking is going to be limited. The other risk which comes with that is if the rumen is empty, then there are very high chances that displacement of the abomasum are likely to happen, and the rumen is very key. So rumen feed is actually very critical. You need to feed lots of roughage during the last 2 months before calving. You want to feed very good quality roughages. You want to, of course, ensure that fodder is adequate. You want to limit the concentrates which you are giving so that it doesn't gain too much weight, and at the same time the rumen is completely full so that the uterus is going to be kept in its position. So having said all this, I think, in my opinion, if every farmer is going to pay attention to his heifer and feed it and give it the attention which most farmers give to their milking cow, provide good mineralization, provide good feed, look at the quality, the fodder which you are giving in terms of quality, then you expect your heifer to actually produce much more milk. And our objective is by the time it's calving down, it should be about 90% of actually the mature cow. And if you are going to achieve that, then you can be assured that your heifer is going to produce much more milk. I think as we talk, I can be able to see people here are already sending in notifications. They are already asking some questions, and I think it will be important for me to maybe look at some of the questions which are coming through onto our Facebook page. And I think the first one, someone called Njoroge is asking, how long should I feed my cow Vitojoto to see signs of it? And I think I've been very clear about that one. It is not about the mineral. Vitojoto is a mineral, and we still have three other parts of the diet which you want to ensure that it is available. And you want to ensure that you are giving quality fodder to your heifer. You are providing some concentrates to her as well, so that the energy levels in the body are going to improve. And then some of the mineral elements which are in the mineral in Vitojoto are going to unlock that energy. And when that happens, then of course I expect that that heifer is going to come on it as quickly as it's able to restore its energy status. So if your heifer is not receiving adequate components of the diet, if it's not receiving adequate energy, if it is not receiving adequate protein, if it's not receiving good quality water, then however much you're going to feed Vitojoto, I don't expect your heifer to come on it. So it is about balancing the ration. Ngetich in Nakuru, thank you very much, Ngetich, for reaching out to us. And your question is actually, what do I do to my cow that calved 9 months ago and still has no signs of it? So I would look at the reasons why your cow has not come on it. And the first one is actually still so much about the fact that immediately when cows calve down, the milk is actually draining a lot of energy from that animal. And when that happens, then the animal is going to go into what we call negative energy balance. So you're going to see your cow losing weight. It's not going to be looking good as at the time when it was calving down, and that is a sign which is showing you that if it continues that way, then there is a high possibility it will never come on it, because thin cows never come on it. That one I can assure you, because if you are seeing a lot of bony cows, you can see almost all the bone prominences on your cow. then it's telling you that the energy status of your cow is actually very poor. So if your cow is not thin, because at 9 months I don't expect that cow to be actually losing condition because the milk production has come down. So at that point, it is important for you to maybe look for a veterinarian to be able to check your animal up, because one other reason which is very common is poor nutrition during early lactation and maybe an increase in milk production predisposes your animal to what we call cystic ovarian disease. And you need a veterinarian to check your animal, and he is going to institute a hormonal protocol. If it is having what we call a luteal cyst, then of course he knows what to do. If he is going to be having what we call follicular cyst, then what we commonly see is maybe your cow behaving like a bull sometimes, and it is the bull in the herd. And you need a vet to sort that one out. And once the cyst is sorted using hormones and all that, then your animal should be able to come on it regularly. But it all starts with management, it all starts with nutrition, it all starts with ensuring that your animals are getting the nutrients it requires. Mr. Wambua, I can see you are sending in a question, and you are saying that why do you think a cow that has been feeding Vito Joto for months but still not showing signs of it? And I think I'm really going back to the same discussion which I have had. There are very funny products out there in the market. Starting with, I see farmers who are feeding their dry cows, for example, and they are saying, I'm not seeing the udder. Or maybe your cow is already milking and you are saying, my udder is not growing. Where do I get a product which is going to boost my udder size and all that? So it's almost similar to this question which you're asking. You've been feeding Vito Joto for months but still not showing signs of it. And what I want to clarify there is, as I said, minerals, Vito Joto is actually one part of the diet. We know that Vito Joto is going to provide adequate phosphorus, it's going to provide adequate vitamin B12, it's going to provide sufficient copper to your cow, and many other elements which are actually going to help in unlocking the energy in that animal. So the question is, are you having a good quality fodder which you are feeding to your cow so that the bacteria in the rumen are able to digest it quite well and generate as much energy and protein as possible, which will be able to make your body condition scores improve so that your animal can be able to come on it? That is question number one. So it's about, is your ration sufficient for your cow so that it can be able to gain weight? Number two is, could you be having a problem which is making your animals not come on it? And I think I have already said that when you have some of those physiological problems like cystic ovarian disease, then you need a vet to check your cow. Because if your animal has a luteal cyst, for example, what we call a corpus luteum, even if you are going to feed as much mineral, the corpus luteum is going to be it's going to be producing a lot of progesterone, and literally your animal is feeling I'm pregnant because there is an hormone which is being produced which is telling the animal I'm pregnant. So it's not going to come on it, and you need a vet to be able to sort that. You're not going to stop feeding a mineral, and in my opinion, if your cow is milking, the mineral which we recommend as vital animal health for a milking cow is Vito Maziwa. Vito Joto is a mineral which is for Heifers. I know some farmers who are using Vito Joto for making which can make the animals at some point to come on it. And I want to be very clear with you. The reason why your animal will come on it is maybe Vito Joto is supplying less of the minerals than Vito Maziwa. So maybe your milk production is coming down and the cow is preserving much more energy and maybe it's coming on it. But if you're going to improve the amount of energy and protein by feeding more fodder and feeding more concentrates and ensuring that you're balancing that ration quite well, your animal should actually be able to come on it. Joyce, she's saying Haifa is actually more than 2 years in age and has never shown signs of it. What could be the problem? So I think the first question I'm going to pose to Joyce is, when you look at your cow, your Haifa, is it looking good? Is it, what's the weight? Can you weigh it? Is it 350 kilos if it's a Friesian Holstein? Is it 300 kilos when it's an Asha? Because 2 years may be a small size. It may be 180 kilos. So as I said, we are more of serving our AFAs based on weight, which should be 55 to 60% of the adult mature breed weight. So if you're going to be basing it on the mature weight of the breed which you have, so what is the weight of your AFA? What is the body condition of your AFA? Is it fat? Is it too thin? What are you seeing? There is a high possibility that if it is small, you're not going to see it come on it. Number two is animals come on it at different times in the day, and so you need to really make observations. We see a lot of cows coming on it, maybe late in the evening when it's quite cool, or very early in the morning, and it may not show signs of it during the day. So how good are you in it detection as well, if your AFA is actually at the weights which we are talking about? The last one is what we said. You could be having an issue with the ovaries of those cows. Could you be having a cyst? Could you be having a free Martin? You need to consult your vet when it comes to some of those issues, so that you can be able to get your answers. Because I want to advise farmers not to be doing a lot of guesswork. Someone in Arok is asking, uh, if when should you start feeding Vito Dry? Should you feed Vito Dry to your AFAs? And I want to be clear with you. I want you to feed Vito Joto from the time when they are 12 months of age until they come on it, until you serve them, and until they are 7 months pregnant. The reason why I want you to do that is we are talking about other development here. And other development is actually being limited a lot by the weight gain. So I want you to provide Vita Joto every day from when it's 12 months until the time when it conceives, until when it is 2 months to calving, so that we optimize the daily weight gain, so that we optimize the udder in producing much more milk. And also, of course, a cow which is going to calf down, Aifa which is going to calf down at 550 kilos is going to have a bigger rumen than one which is going to calf down at 400. So it's able to take in more feed. So it's able to sustain a higher milk production. So start feeding Vito Dry to your AFAs when they are 7 months pregnant. You also want to stop feeding Vito Dry 5 or 4 days to calving and start feeding Vito Maziwa. I will be clarifying that when we come to talk about dry cow management and maybe transition, which should be able to come on the same channel very soon. The last question which we are going to be addressing here is coming from Joseph Kibet. Kibet, you're having my name, but how can you have my name? Who is saying, what could be the issue with this AIFA that has been served 3 times without conceiving? A complicated topic. I think I'm going to look for an opportunity to just talk about fertility only on both AIFAs and cows. And number one is timing. So your AIFA came on it very well. Did you time well? Was your AIFA served at the required time? And a common rule which we have is a morning evening rule. If you saw your AIFA coming on it in the morning, then in the afternoon, maybe morning afternoon rule actually, we should be able to see that AIFA being served around 2 or 3 in the evening. If it came on it in the evening, then it's served in the morning. If maybe it came on it yesterday, then you saw it coming on it in the morning, then it was presented for service in the afternoon. Sorry, my friend, you're already late, and there is a high possibility that you're not going to have your AIFA conceiving. Number two is there could be diseases. If the uterus is affected or infected, then I don't expect any implantation to happen. And you're going to see that maybe a conception happened, but then you're going to see an irregular, maybe if 30 days later or 35 days later after insemination, you see your AIFA coming on it again. Then it tells you a few things. Then there is also the factor of maybe the semen. How is your inseminator in ensuring that he's doing a good job in managing his semen in the semen tank, by ensuring that liquid nitrogen is filled all the time, semen handling is good. And then last but not least is the inseminator. How good is your inseminator in placing semen at the right place? Because semen has to be put in the uterine body, and if somebody is going to put that semen elsewhere, then the conception rates are going to be affected. So this is actually a complicated aspect. And again, back to nutrition. Your IFA would come on it. But if your IFA is not having a good body condition score, I don't expect conception to happen, because the energy levels are going to determine the quality of the follicle which is going to be ovulating, which means that conception is highly possible. But imagine if that ovary has a small follicle, so the estrogen which is going to be produced is much low. I don't want to complicate these issues. Then I don't expect a good quality follicle, a good quality ovum, which is going to lead to a good conception. So feeding good quality forages, good quality concentrates, providing good quality mineral supplement like Vito Joto for Heifers, and of course feeding Vito Maziwa for milking cows should be able to sort a good number of fertility issues which we have. Having not much to say, I come to the end of our live broadcast today, and same time next week we are going to be having another discussion, and I think we will be talking about dry cows then. So stay tuned, keep on telling your friends, keep on sharing, keep on liking our page. Visit our website as well, which is www.vital.co.ke, and also stay tuned on our Facebook page. We are going to be helping you to learn a lot in dairy farming. Thank you very much. Have a good weekend. As my closing remarks, as usual, sanitize, keep social distance. Actually, in Vital Animal Health, we are saying the social distance should actually be one cow away. So it should be a distance between, it should be a distance which a cow can fit in. So between you and the other guy, there should be a cow between you, a big cow for that matter. Thank you very much. I am really grateful for taking your time to listen to us during this live broadcast. Bye. Have a good weekend.